Welcome to Awakening Potential Podcast, your gateway to the extraordinary. And today we're featuring Lady J.B. Owen, who has mastered turning everyday moments into milestones of wisdom as a lady of fearless leadership and a highly successful entrepreneur. She's a worldwide speaker. She has created award-winning products, worldwide brands, and published multiple international bestsellers whose reach spans to inspiring global context, millions, that is. JB embodies the transition from ordinary to extraordinary, making them a perfect guide, making her a perfect guide for today's exploration. So join us as we delve into their transformational journey as we welcome Lady J.B. Owen. Forgive me.
Thank you, my darling. Thank you for having me. It looks like we have lots to talk about as you went through my bio. The universe wants us to talk about lots, so I'm so blessed to be here. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for taking the time. And I know your busy schedule, so I'm so grateful that you said yes, as we really lift others in, really getting that, in order to be extraordinary, and they already are, they forget
Mm.
sometimes. So I'm just curious if you would, like, where was your start point? What was it that like really, for lack of better, since you're
Mm.
the ignite person, what ignited you to really go on this journey and follow it?
Wow, that's a great question. I think I have many ignite moments that sort of sparked me to decide to do things differently and better. I do remember very distinctly, though, at a very difficult time in my life where I was truly struggling. I was a single mom. I had gone through a very tumultuous sort of rebound marriage. I was, really clinging to my identity of who I was and how could I make it work. I remember hearing Mr. Amazing Les Brown in a video saying, if you can fall down, you can look up, you can get up. And I just listened to it over and over and over again. And I remember thinking, like, there's no one coming here to rescue me. There's no one who's going to fix this but me. No one is going to make this better but me. No one is going to take all this pain away but me. And I just kept reminding myself that really I was here to do the work and no one was going to do it for me. And that really started me on my path.
It's so ironic. We have the same journey because I went through my divorce and Les Brown showed up in my space and the same exact
Right?
thing. No one is here to rescue me but me. And it was scarier than anything. And it was like, oh my God. And I was so in my head, like, how am I going to do this? And
Mhm.
where do I start? I had 3 young children and I was like freaking out. So
Right.
what were your next
And
steps?
what do? We just put one foot in front of the other. We just take it one goal at a time. We just take it one day at a time, and we just start believing. For me, I really needed to believe it was possible. I needed to see the vision of where I wanted to get to and just trust and know that it was going to unfold, but I had to do the work. I think the difference between a lot of people, and when I talk about ordinary to extraordinary, yeah, I don't mean that people are ordinary, but ordinary actions. If you're just doing the same thing over and over again, you're going to get the same results. And if you're not taking directed, intentional, inspired action, you're not going to get the things that you're hoping for.
Exactly. I couldn't agree more. Couldn't agree more. So after this tumultuous aspect of your journey of your life, like what was next for you? What were your next steps? I mean, obviously one foot in front of the other, deep breath, going from A to like Z,
Well,
because you really
you
have
know,
done it.
yes, thank you. A lot of it, in all honesty, was sharing. I did live, I call it under my baseball cap for about 2 years. I was so afraid that anyone would find out what had happened to me. I had been assaulted. My ex had broken into my home. He had robbed me, had sold things at the pawn shop. He had, drained our bank account. He'd done a terrible amount of things. And I just didn't want anyone to know. I was just living in shame and I was living in this whole fear of people finding out. And what I realized is in living in shame, you just live small. You live super, super small. You live in the shadows. Until the day I really shared the truth with someone and told them what was really going on in my life. And they had a similar story. They had gone through some domestic violence. And they had also been living with an addict. And I didn't know at the time when I got involved with this person that they would relapse and all of these things would unfold. Even my kid's dad was, really trying to help me get out of this, but somehow I got into the spiral of a relationship that I thought I could fix. And that's a big thing for me that I talk to a lot of women about is you can't fix someone else, you can only fix yourself.
Yes,
And
exactly.
so, coming out of such a tumultuous relationship of trying to fix someone for 15 months, I finally decided the most important person I need to fix was me. And I just took a very big inventory of all the things in my life that weren't really working for me, my finances, my health, my weight, my grocery shopping, my friends, my, relationship with my family, like all the things that I could potentially make better up to me. And I just got really focused on doing that, on really no, not trying to fix anything else in my life except to make me a better version of me. And I don't use the word fix in the sense that I was broken, but I use the word fix in the sense that there were some things that could be better that of course I could improve.
Absolutely, absolutely. Oh gosh, our journey's totally like a line, and I had no idea. I've known you for a while. I had no
Mhm.
idea this was very similar to the path that I took. And I remember I was doing 6 hours of carpooling back in the day. Did three different schools and three different kids doing three different things. And I remember I did a lot of audio, a lot of self-help audio
Mhm.
on tape. And it was all about me discovering who Karen was. And I remember listening, putting on something on the radio, and I don't know who it was, I don't know where it came from, but everything for me is in perfect order. And I remember hearing that the more you pray for challenges, the more challenges you're gonna get. And I thought, wow, and
Yeah, the
in
more you pray for strength, actually, the more you pray for
wait, for
strength, the more
strength, that was it.
challenges you
That
get.
was it, that was it, that was
Exactly.
it, thank you. That was it, because I was praying for strength and I kept remember saying, I need more strength, I need more, and then, you're right, I got more challenges until I started praying for wisdom, and
Mhm,
everything changed. I
mhm,
was like, wow.
mhm.
It
Yeah, we
was-
always get what we always get what we focus on. We always get what we put our attention towards. And I'm like you. I always tell people like, how can we positive that? If how do you put the positive on that? Like, oh, I just, if I just need a break. I'm like, ooh, you don't need anything to break. How can we positive that? And I had actually been saying for the longest time, I can't stand this. I can't stand him. I can't stand it when this happens. I can't stand it when this. And guess what happened? I got a debilitating back injury. I couldn't stand because you just get what you say.
Exactly, that's the truth. I'll attest to that one, but we're not going there today. Um, yeah, absolutely, absolutely. But yet you were able to one foot in front of the other. What was part of the next part of your journey? I mean, you're a lady, JB. I mean, you've gotten
Thank
yourself.
you.
Yeah, I mean, it's just I love your journey. I just love your journey.
Thank you.
And
Well, I
it,
will say the biggest next piece was getting on my hands and knees and putting my forehead on the ground and praying
absolutely.
and repenting and humbling and saying sorry to myself, saying sorry to my body, saying sorry to all the people, saying sorry to all the times that I hadn't listened to myself, like just going within and really truly I because of my back injury, I couldn't sit and meditate like other people because of my spine. So I learned to meditate on my knees with my forehead on the ground and my hands out in front of me in great reverence of receiving particles from the earth, receiving angel dust from the angels, receiving wisdom from God. And I would lay there, I would sit there and wait for my hands to feel full of angel dust or particles or knowledge or wisdom, and then I would lift it up and I would pour it on top of my head and imagine it going into my brain and into my pineal gland and then into all of my bloodstream. And then I would put my hands out again and I would spend 4, 5, 6, 7 hours just in absolute surrender, surrender and receiving and giving back. And my hands out was giving back to God, giving back to the universe, giving back to all spirit and all consciousness. And that was a huge transformational time for me because I had to literally, I couldn't walk, I couldn't move. I was very, very, very injured. Um, I had to just literally re-heal my body through mind, through receiving, through light therapy, through color therapy, through sound, through praying, and through self-healing, through just tinkering in my own body and apologizing to all the cells and all the muscles and all the tendons and asking for forgiveness for all the ways I pushed way too hard when I shouldn't have. And that was really the next big journey for me, was this deep, deep, deep inner healing.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And to me, that's the key to it, is really stopping and pausing and really reflecting on self. Because
Hmm.
as you said, you can't fix it. And I went through the same thing. And I remember my daughter, my middle daughter, saying to me, Mom, you're so selfish. And I was like, what am I teaching
Same.
my children? I'm like, no, 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 no. Wait. Let me just like pause for a second. There's a difference between selfish and selfless. I'm putting on my oxygen
Yes.
mask first in order
Hmm.
that I can be here for you and I don't know that she still gets it in her 30s or not, but she'll
It's
have
true.
them.
Lots of people think it's selfish when you spend hours meditating, or you say, I need to go for a walk, or I need this to be quiet right now, or it's really important to me. And it's not selfish. It's really it's self-supporting, it's self-soothing. I
That's
do actually have an interesting thing. When I went to Sedona to do a lot of my healing, I spent a lot of time in Sedona, and I actually acquired this beautiful rock when I was there, and I carried that rock in my pocket for 2 years. I started doing hot yoga. I really was eating properly, exercising, everything. But I actually remember the day, and this is crazy. I was at hot yoga and I was getting dressed. I picked up my pants and my rock fell out of my pocket and it hit the ground and broke into a whole bunch of pieces. Now, what is the chances of a rock breaking into a bunch of pieces? But as soon as it did, you know what I heard? You don't need me anymore.
yeah.
It was interesting because that rock had become like a little bit of a security blanket for me whenever I was stressed or worried or needed guidance. I was really rubbing this rock. And when that rock broke, it literally said to me, like, you're good. You've healed. You don't need me anymore. You don't need this security blanket. Go and now be the person you were meant to be. And I just was like, I remember picking up the pieces of this rock and thinking, like, how does a rock break? But it was again analogy for JB, because I was such a rock and I was such a rock in my life. I'd hurt my back. I had my own need to reheal and put the pieces back together of my life. So it's all this analogy and sort of symbolism around this rock breaking. But that was the day that I said, okay, I picked up the pieces of the rock, I put it in the garbage, and I left yoga class that day just knowing like this was the beginning of the next step in my world, and going out and doing it and really going after it and putting one foot in front of the other and making something good out of everything that had happened.
All right. And of course, fast forward, I followed your journey of biking across the continent, which was like, wow, you just such an inspiration. So what is your why? Like, what is it that really keeps you keeping on?
Well, it's interesting. When I was a kid, I didn't really fit in very well. I was kind of weird looking. I was really into fashion. I dressed really crazy for the small town that I grew up in. And my mom was supportive, my dad not so much. Didn't really love this big pipe dream kind of kid. It was always looking eclectic and weird and spiked hair and purple hair. And, I just didn't fit in. And I remember really truly, from all corners, from church, from neighbors, from friends, from family, from relatives, really really picking on me and making fun of me.
Mm,
And I noticed now in my life, it's so important for me that every single person I work with is seen, is heard, is recognized, is valued, is um, just blessed for exactly who they are, however that is. And so, as it was really hard to go through such ridicule as a child, but I really feel blessed and grateful because as an adult, I get to work with people every single day. I get to shine my light on their light. We get to like light candles together. We get to ignite humanity, ignite others, ignite all kinds of things. And so I had to go through that as a kid. I had to have that experience to now be a person who is so committed to. And so I just am enraptured when I see you turn your light on, when I see other people turn their light on. I'm just in awe of it all because I really know how precious that is growing up, having that sort of snuffed out all the time, And so that's really my why. I want people to be seen. I want people to be heard. I want people to be recognized. I want people to shine. I really want people to feel like they are so incredible, so precious. God made you precious. You're miraculous. You were born amazing. You're perfect in all your perfectness and all your unperfectness. Like, I really want people to get the message that this human experience is just an experience for us to play and dance and dabble with all the things that are brought to us. But our deepest essence, our soul, our divinity, all of that is so amazing. If we can awaken that potential in ourselves, we can do anything. We can do anything.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I love the fact that your why is part of what inspired me to come. Well, I was drawn to you, right? And
Mm,
after being in your Ignite series books, two of your books, it was just such a uplifting experience to really get present to that Ignite moment and have you as the publisher of the Ignite series, just really be so present to who each and every one of us were and to really live. So I really honor you for that. And it
mm.
was amazing.
Thank you so much. Thank you for saying that. I think we all have these powerful Ignite moments, and many of them take us to their knees, like mine did. And lots of times we just need another person to put a hand out to help us up out of our quagmire. And at
Right.
the same time, what I love about Ignite and about publishing our story is when we gift our story to someone else with the design that it will help them, with the goal that it'll support them, it shifts our own understanding of our experience. And so, yes, I went through domestic violence. Yes, I was robbed. Yes, I was blah, 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 assaulted. And now I take all of what I learned from that to help people understand that they too can move through a situation similar. Or, I mean, I've had many men reach out to me who've been in domestic violence who have said, I loved your solutions. I loved your ideas. I loved your wisdom. I love what you told me to do to move forward, to forgive, to go on, and all of those things. That's the power of telling your story, is you shift out of all of the what you thought that it meant, and you suddenly see that it means something more. You have a mission, you have a purpose, you have gifts that you can give people, and that experience has allowed you to share what you can to help someone else. And for me, that's really moved into my latest initiative, Ignite Humanity. We have to be igniting humanity. We have to be igniting each other. We have to be uplifting one another. And we're really doing it. And blessed that our podcast is on the eclipse. This is such an auspicious time for us all to step into even deeper into our greatness, into our potential.
Absolutely, absolutely. Before we go on to that, I'm just really curious if you had the same similar experience. I mean, obviously, you went through domestic violence, you went through all of these challenges. So we all have our version of challenge, whatever it is, and how we choose to deal with it is going to be obviously the big how we choose to respond to it rather than react to it is going to make the biggest difference. But I'm
Mm.
curious. I mean, obviously, as a publisher, as an author, multiple time international best-selling author at that. What did you find initially? And I'm really curious, just emoting it, your body's always talking and just getting it out and putting it on paper, so to speak, and going through the process of writing this story is so cathartic and so
Mm.
healing in and of itself. Did you find that for yourself? And was that part of what's inspired the Ignite empire, so to speak? Or
Absolutely. Absolutely. I shared my first story in Ignite Your Life for Women. And then I was like, oh, okay, well, what else do I need to do some work on? And then, of course, our next book came out. We did parenting, we did health and wellness, we did
love it.
forgiveness, we've done courage. And so, yes, I will truly admit that every single book, and there's 24 of them now in the series, I've written my story in every single one of them. And each time I work on a story, I'm just like you, I heal, I get better at it. I understand. I see it from a new perspective. I get hindsight wisdom in it. And lovingly, I will say, like, I feel like I've worked on lots of my stuff. And as our books continue, I feel like I'm blessed to have new Ignite moments, but at the same time, I feel like I've assigned a new meaning to so many things. And that new meaning is really purpose. What is our purpose? Why are we here? What are we doing? And how can we help others? How can what I'm doing create a win-win for you, create a win-win for someone else, really devise this ability to create a ripple effect of benefit. And so, yes, the books have been an absolute
I
internal,
love that.
wonderful, the most incredible self-development ever.
Absolutely. We all have our version of it. And I just so remember you reaching out after my accident. And I was ever so grateful because when I was in Costa Rica and I was basically in seclusion for 3.5 weeks, not speaking Spanish, I was posting on Facebook because I had nothing else to do. And it was my only connection to the world other than a lot of self-reflection. And I remember you reaching out and asking me to be an author in Ignite Your Faith. And I was like,
Mm.
yeah, I remember very vividly saying to you, yeah, I got that one down pat. And
Yes.
I remember regurgitating on the paper. It was like 7 pages and I was like 14. And you said, Karen, that was so cathartic for me. And I
Mm,
was so not attached to it after I like dumped it all out that it became easier to mold it and shape it after.
mm,
But I needed to get it out. And
yeah.
most people forget the power in emoting it and getting it out of oneself. And sometimes I remember going through my divorce and screaming in the pillow at the top of my lungs, God forbid the neighbors heard. But, or taking a pool. I live in Florida, so we have the pool, those little pool floaty things, yeah. And
Mm,
I'm sitting there hitting the pillow going, you son of a, whatever works, you gotta get it out of your body. But
yes.
you've gone on to do Ignite Humanity, which has been amazing, and you have a it's not working.
Our event?
Well, you have the event coming up,
Yeah.
but not
Hmm.
only event, you have a charity, a charitable,
Yes.
amazing.
Building schools. Yes.
Building
Thank you for saying
schools.
that.
Yeah,
As a
so
publisher, I
yeah,
had to do something I felt would ignite literacy and help kids. What I realized is as a child, I read a lot and reading helped me overcome a lot of my own internal struggles and my own internal voice because reading gave me an opportunity to imagine, to dream bigger. And so I just felt it's so important for us to educate kids and give them an opportunity to learn how to read. If you can read, you can truly ignite humanity. And so, yeah, we're super excited. We've been blessed to build schools, and it just continues. All the proceeds of our book sales online go towards building our schools.
love that. I love that. Yeah, and I love the fact that both of us are into giving back because I think that's what really does truly ignite humanity. For me, it's all about kids' smiles. So
Right.
Operation Smiles is my big heart warmer. Uh,
Mm,
yeah, chapter 2 of my first book, 5 Ways to Create a Ripple, was all about the anatomy of a smile. And
wow.
just the thought of a child smiling with cleft lip and it shines upon the whole world. And to me, that just like sings for me. So,
I
you
feel
know,
the same. I feel like when a kid can
yeah,
tell you a dream like, I want to do this one day, or I want to go here. I think this is possible. Like for me, it's just intoxicating to listen to their untethered dreams because no one told them they couldn't do it yet. And that's what I love. And we need to foster more of that.
I love that. Maybe we could collaborate on a flood around that one day someday.
Mhm.
Soon, hopefully. But it really inspires me because I've seen as a nurse, I've seen a lot of kids with cancer and so on and so forth. And they're so sullen and they look so defeated. And when they smile, it just lights up the whole room. And that just
Mhm.
so at any rate, so what's next?
Well, lots of things. I mean, as I shared, I am igniting humanity and we're doing a big project next year, 2025. But right now, we're trying to set a Guinness Book of World Records with the largest compilation book, hoping to put 280 people in one fantastic, colossal 880-page book that will just be like this epic book on anyone's coffee table and just really bringing together people who have had an ignite moment that has made them want to do something for humanity. I think there's a big shift in the world. There's so many good people out there doing good things to help others. And I'm really enthusiastic to showcase that. I love the idea of igniting humanity. Of course, we're doing our next school, so I'm off to Indonesia to do that. I'm doing a daily TV show called Ignite Humanity Live, where I'm just talking to people about their Ignite moments and how that Ignite moment will help humanity. So really making sure that we are all connecting. And then our next book is Ignite Creativity, which we're all excited about for all those artists. And
Uh,
then Ignite Impact we will do in the fall. So for people who are making impact, we'd love to tell their Ignite story. I don't know. People will say, is there an end in sight? I'm like, I don't think so. There's 8 billion people on the planet. We have lots of
exactly.
stories to share.
Exactly. And we have more than one story, right? I'm in
Right.
206. I mean, I would love to be in all of them. And, it's just such an inspiration to be able to really acknowledge having a story and not just acknowledge it. I just heard a statistic today that 98% of the population has a story within them or have written a story. Only 23% have actually published or
Wow.
attempted to publish, and 3% actually publish it and get it out there. So when you listen to those statistics, I remember, and I want to say it was Les Brown who said, you have a story, and why are you holding on to it when you can make a difference with your story in somebody else's world? And I thought,
Mhm.
wow, I remember pondering that, saying, wow, I have a bigger mission, a bigger purpose, a bigger why. Yeah, so I've been getting it out there, finding my voice ever since. Because
Beautiful.
yeah, when I was divorcing, I was just so the,
Mm.
the closet mouth.
Working through your stuff.
Oh,
I like to
I didn't
say
even
that
know what it was.
your story is the your story can really be the support and the solution to what somebody else needs. You've just a little few steps ahead of them and you've got some wisdom and solutions from it. It could be exactly the lifeline that somebody needs to pull them out of what they're in. And not all Ignite moments are difficult and trialsome. Lots of people have Ignite moments that are like, captivating and catapulting, and propels them into a new direction in life. And so if you just look at moments in your life and consider them to be Ignite moments, mini Ignite moments, massive Ignite moments, Ignite moments to benefit you in every single way, I think that's the excitement and that's what makes all of the things that we're going through in life so much more enjoyable.
Absolutely. So, speaking to our listening audience today, what would be a great takeaway to leave them with? Somebody who's sitting there spinning their wheels, saying, "Yeah, I know I could do something, but I just, and they're in that I'm not extraordinary, that kind of thing." What would you tell them?
Well, of course, I think everyone has a story. In everyone's story speaks to a different person. Not everybody's going to like my story. Not everybody's going to resonate with my story. So people are going to resonate with your story. So really, truly do consider writing your story and sharing it. But on another note, what came to me when you asked me that is one of the things I practice deeply is do what makes you happy. Do what makes you happy. Every morning when I wake up, I ask myself before I even open my eyes, what's going to make me happy today? And I just stop and listen.
Mm,
And sometimes it's like have a bath or go for a walk or, clean out the laundry of, that's sitting, whatever it is, if that's what's going to make me happy, I do it. Like I really, really try to honor that little voice in me. Now, if it says, "Oh, win the lottery or go to Paris," I think, okay, I've trained my body. That's not what makes me happy. That's an idea. Winning the lottery is going to make me happy, or going to Paris. But if going to Paris is going to make me happy, then I start a travel jar, or I start, looking at flights. Like I start moving in that direction. But when you begin to honor yourself and do what makes you happy and start to delineate from doing what you have to, doing what you feel obligated to, doing what you feel like you must, to actually putting to the forefront what makes you happy, you actually start teaching your body, teaching yourself that you are entitled to happiness and that you work towards happiness, you attract happiness. And then using that as a litmus test when somebody says like, "Hey, do you want to XYZ?" If that doesn't really make you happy, then you can say, "I'd love to, but thank you. I'm gonna refrain at this moment because what I'm focused on right here is over here, something over here." Like you begin to use your happiness as an important value system, not to reject anyone else or not be a good neighbor or not be a good partner or helper, but to just be aware of what makes you happy so that you're always just a few inches off of the line of what makes you happy, because we deserve to live in happiness. We deserve to wake up every day with excitement and energy and enthusiasm in our minds, in our bodies. And we only are going to do that if we recognize what makes us happy, not somebody else, what makes us happy, what we love. I love to do puzzles. I love to go cycling. I love to play golf. That's me. That's not everyone else. And so do what makes you happy, and your life will be so much better.
Absolutely, absolutely. This has been such an honor and a privilege, and I thank you, Lady J.B. Owen. Well, yeah, that's real curious. Lady, how did you, I mean, I know you've been knighted. What did that look like? I can't even imagine what that must have felt like for you, and just share.
Yeah, I can tell you, ignite moment for sure. When the
I
prince
bet.
put the sword on my, well, it wasn't a sword, it was a scepter. So he put the scepter on both sides of my shoulder and then on my head. And he said, "Rise, Lady JB, and do your duty to humanity." And I have to tell you, I really started to cry. My whole body was vibrating. It was a very deep, deep moment of recognition that I had to, from that moment on, I was going to live the best version of myself possible. Not perfect, still going to make mistakes, but I was going to rise up to my potential, rise up to what was possible. And it was a huge moment. I assure you, it was life-changing. Even to this day, I get goosebumps about it.
I am so proud of you and so excited for you because you have been such an inspiration to so many of us. And that's one of the reasons why I was really anxious to get you on.
Yeah.
From awakening potential, because you're the epitome of it for sure, and a great example of it. So I really thank you. All of your notes, your show notes, all of your contact information is going to be in the show notes. And do you, real quickly, you want to give just a little where they can reach you if for the
Yeah,
listeners?
absolutely.
And
You
yeah.
can Google Ignite Publishing or Ignite Humanity. You can find me, or just Google JBON, two capital J capital B. I'm kind of the only one on all of the social platforms, JBON. And also in the show notes, I'd love to offer your audience a free digital version of any one of our Ignite books, so they can go to our marketplace and download any one of the books that resonate with them, because we know that when you read a story that speaks to the heart, it ignites the heart in beautiful ways. So just offering that to all your listeners.
Absolutely. And if you'll send me that link, I will definitely make sure it gets into the show notes, because that's something they do not want to miss out on for sure, because it is very, very, very special. Lady JB, thank you. It's been an honor and a privilege. Till next time.
Thank you.
Bye for now. And remember, everybody, thank you for joining us, and let all of the insights that Lady JB has guided you with tonight navigate your journey into the extraordinary, because you already are.